What's up, guys? We're live. Let me make sure everything is set before we start. Make sure you can hear me. Make sure everything is good. We're going to start something new for Saturdays. So if you want to go into the live chat, cool. But I'm not going to do any shout outs until the very end of the show because I want to do some new stuff for Saturday, give out the best value, the best information possible without any interruptions for the people that are watching the replay, so they get straight info, whether they're in their car or listing, whatever they're doing, they're listening to the show and they just get straight info. So if you want to hang out, cool, but I'll shout you out at the very end and we can talk and take Q&A all the very end. So let's start off from the very beginning. This show, top 5 perfect spots to buy inventory to sell on eBay and Amazon. Now you have to create your own perfect sourcing location, and you have to ask yourself these questions first. Like, what kind of seller am I? What do I really want to sell? What do I have knowledge in? I get new resellers every day adding to Instagram and following on YouTube, subscribing on YouTube, all of that every single day. So I know I need to start with a lot of the beginner things before I start getting into a lot of the info for intermediate to advanced. So I know I want to do a lot more videos on Saturdays for the newbies that are just getting in and they could learn from the very beginning and where to go. So top 5, there's obviously more than 5 perfect spots to source from, but you need to ask yourself those 2 questions first. What platform do I like selling on? Is that eBay, Amazon, Poshmark, Mercari, local sales? Do you have a retail store? All of these factors come into play. And what kind of seller are you? Do you want to sell new or used items? What is it that you like to do? So you got to ask yourself these questions. Now, like I said, more than top 5 spots to source from, but here are top 5 types first, and then we'll break down every single one after that, what they mean and where can you source from after those 5 places. So the first one, retail arbitrage, which is going to actual chain stores, Target, Walmart, Kohl's, etc. Number 2, thrifting. Are you more of the thrifting person? Goes to Savers, Goodwill, those types. Off-chain retail, which is Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, things we like, things I've kind of covered more than all the other ones on my channel. Number 4, hunter-based. Are you one of those people that likes to go to garage sales and swap meets to go to like hunt things down? Are you that person? Or number 5, used retail stores. This is more like Plato's Closet, those type of stores. Have you even gone to those stores before? Some people haven't. They don't even know what they are. So we're going to talk about those too. But those are the 5 and the good and bad of all 5 of these. And some people just focus on one. Like some people are just like, I'm going to go all in on retail arb. I'm going to go all in on just these off-chain retail stores like Ross. And some people like to dabble in between, maybe 1 or 2. Okay, retail plus thrifting, or Ross stores plus the used retail stores. So that's totally up to you. And you're going to find your own perfect situation. But here are the list, the good and the bad, and we're going to break down every store possible. So number 1, retail arbitrage. This is mostly good for Amazon FBA. If you're scanning items out there, you're scanning them, you're listing them, you're sending them into the Amazon warehouse, then you're making money that way. The good thing about these stores, Target, Walmart, Kohl's, etc., is more than likely you have them in your area, so you can go anytime you want. Walmart is open 24/7, so you can go, at least most of them are, then you can go whenever you want in the middle of the night, go scan items and do that. You don't necessarily have to have extreme knowledge in items because the stats, the details on the app will tell you pretty much everything you need to know. Now, the bad thing is you have these stores in your area, so does everybody else. So if an item goes on clearance at Target, more than likely they're on clearance for somebody else and people are driving the prices down. You have to get in super early. One of the example was I had a lot of Lego toys that went on clearance right after Christmas time. And so I was checking out the prices. There wasn't a lot of sellers. And I was like, okay, this was the first day that they just went down on clearance. I'm going to send them in today. So I sent them in that very day. They got checked in, they sold, and they were good. But on the opposite side, there was a different Lego set that I also sent in that day. It didn't get checked in because it went to a different warehouse. Like I think it went in maybe a couple of days later. By that time, it was a little bit too late. I didn't get to get the money that I wanted for them. So the prices went down from everybody else that found that exact same item. So you have to be aware of these things. That's the good and the bad. The stores, Target, go from the clearance, Walmart, obviously, Kohl's, which they have pretty good toys and stuff that go on clearance at the very end. I know there was some, I think toys that I couldn't really find at Walmart at the time. A lot of these have store exclusive toys that you can also buy that you're not really going to have competing markets from Target if it's a Walmart exclusive. Toys R Us, which is going out of business. Most of them, I think 130 stores. So there's some good amount of stores that are going out of business that might be in your area. If you want to check that out and go and try to source these stores and try to get the best deal possible before they go out. Kmart, most of those are pretty much done for. Our last remaining Kmart stores have closed already. So we don't really have that to go source for anymore. Hot Topic. Now, Hot Topic is different because there's a lot of, especially like Funko sellers, the little Funko toys. There's a lot of exclusives there that people, they get them from Hot Topic. They sell pretty good on eBay and on Amazon. If you're selling those on Amazon, you also have to make sure that they're packaged correctly and not getting all beat up and bent out of shape. GameStop, interesting enough, the same thing, different toys that are exclusive to GameStop. You can also sell used video games that people can no longer find. If you notice at this point, Xbox 360 games, Wii games, older games that are harder to find now are actually going up in value. Before, it's probably best to go in that now before Xbox or Microsoft, all that, they start getting these downloads that you just be able to just get the game that you want, even the older ones. So try to capitalize on that during this time. So GameStop is good if you can go and scan. Sometimes they'll have like $2 games, $4 games, or like $3 for $5 at one point. And I remember buying a lot of those games and sending them in. They weren't all selling for a lot of money, but a lot of them were selling between $10 to $12 to $15 range. And then I went to every GameStop I could after that to find as many as possible. JCPenney is, if you notice, JCPenney has a section they have a toy section. Most of it is like Disney items. Sometimes you'll find other like Mega Blocks and different things like that. You can make money from those. I remember a couple of years ago, of course, when Frozen was doing extremely well, there was only this certain toy that you could find at JCPenney and no one else was really finding them. I remember sending in as many as possible from JCPenney. That's where I was sourcing it. The next one, Barnes & Noble, a lot of toys there, and they have huge clearances that go from like 50% off, 75% off. They have huge signs. This is another thing to where you might get caught doing the same thing everybody else is selling, unless it's small quantity items that not a lot of people are finding. But unfortunately, you won't know that until you're sending in some items on FBA. But Barnes & Noble, FYE, and Hastings, for the most part, Hastings have kind of gone out of business, at least the one that we had somewhat in our area. FYE is still somewhat going strong. They have the toys, they have the Funkos, they have the exclusive toys. Same thing there. You can very similar style to Hot Topic and Barnes & Noble, the way you would attack it for FYE. Walgreens and CVS, if you're big into the extreme couponing or a lot of the coupons and you know what you're doing, then I guarantee you will find great deals and all sorts of stuff that not only you can resell, but keep for you and your family, and you don't have to go and spend full price at Walmart and Target for the stuff that you normally would buy. So if you know what you're doing there, Walgreens, CVS, and of course they have like their own little unique membership thing, so you can save money there. Family Dollar, which I've done this before, they have a thing with Family Dollar is they have like a lot of like older toys that you probably also wouldn't really see Walmart and Target that people are somewhat looking for. So Family Dollar gets a little bit tougher. Disney Store gets a little bit tougher. Dollar Tree, because we're talking about just dollar items, you're better bundling things together. You know, they're all a dollar each. You bundle them up. And so let's say you have 5 items, you spent $5. Now you're selling it for like $15 range because it's like a certain bundle that you found, all of them that make sense together. So that one also is a little bit tougher, but you can make money doing that. And of course, last is like Sam's and Costco. This was also kind of interesting because you have to have a membership to go to these stores. Not everybody does, but for the people that do, they're also scanning similar items that you're doing. And there was some Sam's stores that went out of business and people capitalized on that, trying to resell these items on Amazon FBA. All right, so that was really just kind of breaking down the stores and retail arbitrage. If that's something you're into, you can resell retail items on eBay, but most of them are going to go FBA, and you really have to go deep into these stores to see what they're selling, doing their proper research, just like you would at any other store. So that was number one. Number two, we're talking about thrifting. If you're a thrifter, if you like going to these stores, Savers number one, which Savers in my area, prices have gone up a lot. Of course, a lot of people are going to the thrift stores and finding items, but you have to try to capitalize on the sales days, which more than likely are going to be on Mondays. Sometimes on certain holidays, they'll have the same thing, like 50% off certain clothing or certain items. So those are the days that you know are going to be jam-packed. People are pretty much going in that same day. But if Savers, the store you like to go to, if you have one in your area, you can do that. Goodwill, most of them are Mondays, the same thing, kind of like the sales days where shoes or shirts or something will be half off or a certain color, you know, blue, red, green, whatever color they have that day. Family Thrift Center, the same thing. Family Thrift Center, I know, at least in my area, I think it's pretty much in all areas, are all cash only. They don't take card, anything like that. So try to be prepared for that. And also keeping track of the sales days, the certain color days. And thrifting, I don't know if I could just throw this one. I don't know if it really makes sense. Actually, this last store will actually be thrown into the hunter-based, I think. But also, you can throw in the bins. So thrifting, you can kind of throw in the Goodwill bins. And that point, I've gone to the bins before. We don't have one here. It's like an extreme discount Goodwill store that have like leftover bins, but the huge bin centers like in Austin, they're huge. People can really capitalize on this. What are the good and bad about thrifting and these stores that I just mentioned? The good part, cheap items. You're not spending a lot, right? If you're spending items, maybe you're getting them for $1, $2. So your ROI is extremely high, especially if you know what you're doing on thrifting. You can make good money in that point. If you're buying jeans for $2 and you're selling them for 10 to 12, your ROI is totally different than if you're spending $40 on sneakers from Ross. So the money is there. The bad thing is, just like with retail arbitrage, you have a lot of competition on eBay. If you're selling kind of the generic type of items that everybody else can find, polos, jeans, you can kill it on jeans, but you have to know what you're doing. You have to know the brands. You can't just go generalized and kind of competing with everybody else that has already been doing it. Another bad thing about thrifting is non-authentic items. So if you don't know what you're doing and you don't know about certain brands and you think something is authentic, let's say for jerseys, for example, Mitchell and Ness, there's like so many fake jerseys out there. A lot of the new Nike jerseys, there's a lot of fakes. So if you know what you're doing, you can get an awesome find. You're spending $2 to $5. You're selling it for 40, 50 plus. But then if it's fake, then you go into a totally different thing. Maybe you already sold it. Now you're going to get a return. Maybe you're going to get your listing taken down if you don't know. So that's kind of the bad thing about the thrifting side of it. But that's why you have to decide what's good for you. And don't get caught up on what everybody else is doing on Instagram and YouTube and posting up all these bragging huge numbers and egos are super high. Don't worry about all that stuff. You have to focus on yourself. What stores do you have in your area? How much money do you have to make for your business? What does your ROI look like? and keep track of all this for yourself, not necessarily what everybody else is doing. Everybody's in a totally different situation. And when it comes to the thrifting thing too, so we talked about lots of competition depending on the niche, but um, if the items are not authentic and you do try to sell it on another platform that have different type of rules like Amazon FBA, if you're selling non-authentic items, that's going to be a huge deal that you're going to have to go through compared to eBay. eBay, I think you can work with, you can call them, you can try to figure out what's going on. Amazon's a totally different animal, totally different beast, to where you mess up, I don't know if you're going to come back or not. And you have to have that right receipt or documentation that your items are authentic, especially if you're sending it in to Amazon FBA. If I'm going to buy something from Amazon, let's say shoes or shirts or something, if they do come back and like, hey, what's going on here? This item's fake. Do you have the receipts? Do you have the invoice? Do you have the proof? You can show that you have an authentic item. Most of the times at the thrift store, you're not going to get that. It's just going to give you your sale price. That's the only thing you have from your receipt, and that's not going to do it when it comes to the Amazon stuff. All right, so we talked about thrifting and the good and bad on that. Let's go to number 3, off-chain retail stores, which, off-chain retail, I do a lot. Out Hustled is based off of that. If you want to watch Out Hustled, me and Ken the Hustle Bee, we go and try to find these items from different cities, and most of them are from Ross, Marshalls, TJ Maxx, DD's Discounts, Burlington. We haven't really done a lot of Tuesday morning, but I did Tuesday morning when I was doing more FBA. Nordstrom Rack, which we've done it once in a while, and the outlets, Nike, Reebok, Adidas outlet stores. Off-chain retail, the good and the bad about these, which you're probably like, what bad? What's bad about these off-chain retails? If you're going there so many times, there's good and bad for both. The bad, high capital, you're investing a lot of money, let's say on shoes that are $49.99, Kobe Elites that are $59.99 or $69.99. And if they don't sell, you have a lot of money invested into that. That's one of the reasons why, like Ken, the Hustle Bee, he has a lot of inventory right now. He's selling a lot per day, but at the same time, he has a lot of capital invested and pretty much tied up in these items until they sell. Now, you can cross list, you can go to different things to sell these items to make that money. You're going to eBay, you're trying different things like Mercari or Go or something for shoes. You're trying local sales, then you can sell those. But when you have a lot of inventory and a lot of money tied up, I should say, in inventory, then it does make it kind of tough to grow if you're wanting to use that money and recycle it in. So that's one of the bad parts about spending more money into that. The good part is that a lot of the new items are going to sell a lot quicker than used items. So you might hold on to things a lot longer in thrifting wise compared to brand new items that you just found at Ross, and you're going to resell those on eBay. And the good thing about it too is that the ROI is a lot higher than selling jeans that you bought for $2. You're selling it for $12. Now, if you're buying, let's say, some cleats like Magistas or something, let's say you get them for $59, but you're selling them for $130. Your ASP is a lot higher. You're making a lot more money that way with doing less work compared to shipping out 10 pairs of jeans to make the same that you would selling one pair of cleats. So it's totally a little bit different, but I like that because I know that I can sell some higher end items and not have to ship out 10 of one item. If I could just make that money selling, really, really good Nike or Adidas items from these stores. So it's a little mix there. But that's mostly covering the off-chain retail. Now, Ross, we could break that down a little bit more if we wanted to. Ross, Marshalls, all of these. If you noticed yellow tag sales right now at Marshalls, people are doing extremely well. Ross also just recently got rid of inventory that had been sitting from last year. That's where you saw the dollar prices, the 50-cent prices, and they were just getting, giving them away almost for super, super cheap prices. And that's where you can come in and try to take advantage of that. Also depends, of course, on the size and the things that are out there. Burlington has also done well. There's some Air Max 97s that I've picked up. They're like $59.99. They're selling for $139. They're selling for $179. Huge prices out there, over $100. And you can kind of figure that out, I guess, what you want to do with your store. Do you want to focus on these high-end items, or do you want to mix it up, or do you want to go for the lower-end items for thrifting and things like that, if that's what you're into? So kind of just depends on you. Let's go to number 4 with the hunter-based. So there's some hustlers out there that love to hunt to find items. And this could be fun because it's not really like going to the stores and finding things like you normally would. Some people just like doing that. In this case, you have to hunt to earn for your items. And in this case, you have a lot of control because you can negotiate to get a better deal for the item that you want. So hunter-based, at least I would say hunter-based sourcing in stores, garage sales, swap meets, or flea markets, Craigslist and Facebook ads. If someone doesn't know what they have and it's already low priced, then you can swoop in and get that item for the best deal possible. But if they have something on there that you already know is good, and they have, hey, I'm $100 and let me know if you're interested, blah, blah, blah. And you're sending in offers, and then you know how much it's really, really worth. You can capitalize on it, and you have that kind of control if you know how to talk to people and figure out the best deal for yourself. So I like the whole negotiation part of it as far as this goes. And of course, you can't do that when you go to like Walmart or Target. And you're going to get whatever you can, unless there's some type of defect or something's wrong with it. Then you're like, hey, can I talk to a manager? Something like that. It's a little bit tougher, but hunter-based type of items are cool for that part. Let me go into, so that's the good part, negotiation, gaining some control. The bad part of it is the time-consuming part of the hunter-based. What I mean by this is that one of the examples, when I went to Austin, I don't know how long ago this video was, but me and let's say Bonafide Hustler and his brother, we went to garage sales. We went here and there. It started to rain. And so now a lot of the garage sales that were already listed on the apps and everything that we searched up weren't there anymore. So now it's like we drive, we go, we finally get there, and then now they're not set up. And so like, okay, we're not only are we wasting time, we're also wasting gas. Another part, let's say Craigslist, you want to get a deal. You finally got through, you made the best deal possible. And then now you're going to go meet up this person, let's say the parking lot somewhere. And then now they don't show up. Now you're waiting for 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes. How long do you wait? Before you decide, I'm not going to stick around anymore for this person to show up. So now you're wasting more time doing that. And I remember one guy, I mean, it was ridiculous. Like, I was selling, I think it was like Jordan 10s. We had agreed on a deal. This is the opposite. This is for me selling someone locally. We made the deal, and I was like, okay, cool. Thought of a price, text him back, blah, blah, blah. I met him at Starbucks. I go, and then I was like, all right, here they are. He looks at them. Okay, cool. And I was like, all right. And the price we agreed on. Now he's like, oh, you know what, bro? I know we said this, but I only have this amount. So instead of 100, I think he had 80 with him. He's like, I only have 80. And I was like, all right, cool. Thanks for wasting my time. I'll see you later. Like, I'm not going to just take someone's offer because they think they can try to like screw me over in person. Now you got to tell yourself, okay, well, he wasted my time. I'll get it relisted. I'm going to go somewhere else. I'm going to go source, make the best time possible while I'm here and go do something else. And of course, when I told him, all right, see ya, I'm leaving. He's like, you know what? Let me see if I can figure out the money, man. I think I have the 100. Let me see. Goes into his car. He has the 100. Like, you can't try to out hustle a hustler if you already know what the little things are here and there. But they can be big time wasters for Craigslist and Facebook ads and meeting somebody if they're going to try to screw you out of a deal when you've already agreed upon a deal. So there's a good, there's a bad, just like with everything else out there. But that's pretty much the good and bad for the hunter-based type of sourcing. All right. Used retail stores. These are Plato's Closet, Buffalo Exchange, Once Upon a Child, which is it's pretty much owned by Plato's Closet, the same type of business, and they sell used clothing and items for babies and kids. And Uptown Cheapskate, which we have one in our area, which is very similar to Buffalo Exchange and Plato's Closet. So they're gonna find, if you go to these stores, you're gonna find more of like high-end items, maybe like Michael Kors purses. Maybe they'll have Jordans. Maybe they'll have Kobe's and LeBron's, different shoes and stuff you can source. The bad thing about these is that for the most part, they do have authentic items, but there's no guarantee. You can find fake Yeezys at Plato's Closet. You can find fake Jordans at Buffalo Exchange. Not all the workers have the knowledge maybe to say that this is an authentic item. So even though you're spending, let's say $25, $35, $45 for a pair of shoes, they may not be authentic. And that kind of sucks if you don't know what you're doing. But the good thing is that you can get high-end brands for super low prices. And if I'm buying Jordans for $30 and I know they're going to sell for $140, then yeah, I'm going to make really good money from that. But I have to know they're authentic. And you can also combine coupons with their already somewhat great prices. So if you want to combine some of the coupons, they have, I know Plato's Closet has like a 5-star app or something. And once you spend a certain amount of money, then they'll give you a discount for like 20% off your total purchase the next time. And that really, really helps. Now you're buying, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 plus pairs of shoes, plus the 20% off, and they're already at a good price. Now you can really make your money on eBay or wherever else you're going to sell it. So that was the kind of the good and bad about these retail stores. And not everybody has these stores. Like I don't have Buffalo Exchange in my area, but I know in Austin they do. And they had quite a bit of jerseys and shoes and things that were selling pretty good from there. And some were really, really low priced. Some were really, really high priced. And they'll do that from time to time, just like Plato's Closet will. Just like finding Kobe's for $25. Next thing you know, someone else was in charge of finding those or shoes that someone brought in, and they priced them at $55 when they were a lot cheaper beforehand. So that's kind of, their prices aren't necessarily always the same. You're gonna have to deal with that when you go to these stores. So those were all 5: retail arb, off-chain retail, thrifting, hunter-based, and used retail stores. Now we broke down all of the stores for every one of these 5. What works for you? Why do you like these stores? Where do you go to? Is there anyone that I'm missing? Maybe you can let me know in the chat. So now we went all straight through to cover all of them. And now we can go to the chat. So, all right, here we go. Let me see who's here. This is totally different because I'm always going to the chat in the very beginning. So now I don't even know what's going on. Well, Penga the Penguin is here, so we know we're doing something good. Humble Beginnings, what's up? G Jasso. Richard is here. Zombries. Girl on Fire and Caroline are both here. Nice. And I can start answering some of the questions when it comes to a lot of the sourcing stuff. Good tip on Barnes & Noble. What's Hastings? So Hastings is kind of like FYE, where they have, it's called For Your Entertainment. So they have like Blu-ray, different movies. They used to have a lot of CDs. Now that's gone down. Things like that. Extreme couponing is funny, but if you do it right, a lot of benefits. Yeah, it's a lot of work for extreme couponing. You have to know what you're doing, and it is really, really time consuming. Bought a bunch of those Skylander today's for $1 each. There we go. Am I late? So people just jumping in. Thrift on Amazon is a big no-no. Yes, you will run into problems. Fake New Era hats at Ross. That's interesting. I haven't really seen a lot of fake New Era hats, but I have seen a lot of people doing the whole switcheroo on Ross shoes lately, especially in my area. And a lot of people are getting caught trying to do that. There's 2 types of switcheroos for Ross. Number 1, people are trying to switch off the tag. I don't have a tag around here, but the the Ross tag, instead of it saying $59.99, they're switching it with like a clothing that's like $14.99. That's going to be easy for someone unregistered to catch, because on the bottom of the shoe, it tells you what the price is anyway. So people have been getting caught in my area doing that. The other switcheroo is buying an authentic shoe from Ross, and then you return a very similar shoe that's a fake, and then they end up taking it back. So I've been seeing that lately. You guys saw it on one of the No Edit Thursday videos. There was like a fake CR7 that I found. And Ross is going to have to figure that out. And that's unfortunate, because now these people are going to mess it up for a lot of people that are trying to not only buy to resell, but the people that are buying for their own families. Like, if you bought shoes for your husband, wife, or kids, and they end up being fake, and you spent $49.99 for shoes, like, you went to an actual real store to buy an authentic item. You didn't try to go to a flea market knowing that that could happen. You went in to try to buy a real item, and then now you could get screwed over because of these people trying to rip off the system in that way with fake items. And it's one of the reasons why Amazon and eBay too are just, they're kind of a mess, because of the mixture of real items and fake items. And it's not necessarily the thrifting part or the reselling part that's getting flooded necessarily. It's the fakes that are coming out. There's so many of them. Jerseys, shoes, jackets, all this high-end stuff. There was like I think an article recently about an LA area on some store that got taken down because they were just selling nonstop fake items, Off-White, Yeezys, things like that are super high priced for like half off. So the fakes are ruining it. Catch you on the replay. Cool. How much is a good item that we need per item? I like to go with the 40% ROI. Some people go less, but if you're doing less, is it really worth it or not to figure that out? That's totally up to you and your business model. But 40% ROI, I truly believe, is worth it to source an item, resell the item, and make the money. And someone had asked about that Wu-Tang helmet. Like, what's the deal with that? I mean, if it's $17.99 and it's selling for $60, even if you did do free shipping, you're still going to make 100% ROI, because on the low end, you're making like $18 to $21 profit on it for an item that you bought for $17.99. So you have to do the math on it. Is it really worth for you and your business model? I don't know. Let me see. Let me go down. Let me see. Oh, we're talking about the Craigslist part. Yeah, I'm like extremely behind. What percentage of items do you source online? That's a good question. Online arbitrage is really good. The same thing if you know what you're doing. If you're combining like rebates or ebates, or you're using the gift cards from Raise, and you're combining these offers to get the best deal. Also, you're early on. Well, there's two things. Either you have a bot that will tell you, and you can get the really, really high-end stuff on time, or the opposite, to where you're keeping track of what these regular stores like Target, Walmart, all these, what they have, and then you can capitalize on those. But the same thing, it's going to take time, it's going to take effort, and you're really going to have to perfect it for online sourcing, because the same thing, there's a lot of money tied into that. I mean, you can make returns just like you could at the off-chain retail stores, but it's going to take some time to really build it up. Let me see. San Antonio. I'm in El Paso, Texas, so I'm still kind of far from San Antonio, but try to go as many times as I can. Let's see, Mr. Abs. Yeah, I don't see how Ross allow clearly used shoes back on the shelf. I mean, from dirty bottoms to stains to hair inside the shoe. Ridiculous. Ross has been taking in a lot of used items. I don't know why. I think I remember one guy trying to tell me that someone tried returning bed sheets. This is gonna be a gross story, but some guy I guess some lady went in trying to return bed sheets that were clearly used. I'm not going to tell you what kind of stain they had on them, but they tried to return these. And Ross actually dealt with them for a while. Like, they almost took the return back. They were there listening to their story, why they should accept the return. They had the receipt, but I just don't understand it's almost saying like you can pretty much do whatever you want to do, and Ross is still going to take the return. I mean, at some point, where does Ross say no on returns and a lot of this stuff? Let's see, Walmart too. It says, yeah, like Girl on Fire, Walmart. Let's see, donated a bunch of stuff to local thrift. Target will do that too. They work with Goodwill. I've seen a lot of Target items in Goodwill. And here's the thing that kind of sucks is like, I've seen items at Target that have gone down to super clearance. They're like at $1 to $2. And then Goodwill is selling them for like $4 or $5. And I'm like, they were just cheaper at Target because I remember seeing these last week. So try to get it at Target before you get it at Goodwill, because you can save that extra, probably like a half or 50% more than what they're already selling it for. Downtown FBA, keep the customer happy at all cost. That's one of the things. It's like, especially when it comes to eBay too, because you do want to make the customer happy. At the same time, the customer is wrong at sometimes, and sometimes they're right. Maybe you did make a mistake as a seller. Maybe they made a mistake as a buyer, as far as thinking that they bought something else. Like I had someone buy shoes thinking it was a size 9, but really it was a size 11. And then they kind of like, well, I know for sure I picked a size 9. I didn't even have variations on that eBay listing. They chose a size 11. That was the only size that I actually had. There was no variations or anything to really get confused on. And then I sent them screenshots and they're like, I understand. Okay, I made a mistake. I truly thought it was a size 9, but it was a size 11. So when the return came, they had to pay for the return because it was their mistake. And eBay sided with me as a seller. And they're going to say they sided with the seller for once. But yes, they did. I was able to prove that, yeah, the buyer made the mistake. So they paid for the return shipping. Let me see. No returns on underwear. I know. How long is too long to have an item that is not selling? Man, this is one of the things. So today I actually just went through my inventory that I was like, why haven't I marked this stuff down? You're going to get better sourcing. That's really what it comes down to, is being a better sourcing person to figure out what's working for your business. Because I have items that I was like, these just have not moved. I kind of forgot about them. I have them in my inventory in the other room. And I'm like, all right, this was a bad buy. Even now, which I don't claim to be a pro, but I try to help as many people as I can. I make mistakes. Other people make mistakes when it comes to sourcing. Not everybody admits it, but they make mistakes. I make mistakes. And there's a lot of shoes, especially like a lot of the football cleats. A lot of them did really, really well. $19.99 at Burlington, selling for $110, $130, $140. But what about the other colorways that weren't selling that well and they're still sitting? What about the bigger sizes that are still sitting, size 14, 15? That I was like, okay, well, they were too cheap to pass. I bought them anyway, but they're not selling. So in that case, I would do 3 months, yes, is good. 60 days is ideal, because now 60 days, it gives you some time to reinvest into some better items to resell. Now 90 days could happen if that's something you want to do. I have items here that have been here for 90 days that I was like, you know what? I need to make my money back or a little bit more profit-wise. I'm not making the 40% anymore. They've been sitting here for too long. And what I've noticed, a lot of these shoes that have sat are either the colorway, people just aren't interested in them, or number 2, the sizes are either too small or they're too big. So a lot of the soccer cleats I've noticed, like size 6Y, they've been sitting here for a while. The size, obviously, 9, 10, some 11, they've moved. But now the bigger sizes, size 14, 15, they're still sitting here. And then a combination of a size 14 with the Bengals colorway, it was a bad buy. So now I'm going to make a decision. Either we're going to get our money back, or we're going to take less ROI and make the 10% ROI just to get rid of it. But I wouldn't do this until they've been sitting in your inventory for the 60 to 90 days range. I mean, there's no need to panic if you're still in the 30-day range and you just listed an item. Hey, it's not selling. It's been 10 days. Not all items are going to sell that quickly, but they could sell later on. But you got to stay patient with it and keeping track of the inventory. on a spreadsheet or on your notebook or something, or on your laptop, you're keeping track of everything, and that's what's going to be good for it. Seasonal items are good to hold on to. Yes, especially if you know what you're doing for that. If you purposely bought Christmas items and they're going to sell later on during Christmas, store them away. Make sure they're nice and neat, brand new. Don't get them all dusty and throw them somewhere. Keep them nice and neat and bring them out when the time is right, and make your money when the time is right. So you know what you're doing there. Let me go. Let me see. Oh man, now I'm way behind. I usually put stale inventory up on auction. That's a good thing too that you can do. And don't be afraid to do this kind of thing. I mean, you guys saw when Ross, they went out and they cleared out their inventory for the new year. That's why we got a lot of dollar items, 50-cent items, things like that, because they were clearing out that inventory for the new year. This is probably something that I should have done. I think instead of maybe out hustled and sourcing more, I was like, you know what? I need to also go and check the items that have been sitting here for a while and start off, you know, the new year, especially 2018, things like that. Start off differently. Like, how can I improve on my mistakes that I've made from the things that I thought were going to sell? Clear out this inventory, reinvest into better items that you know that will sell for the new year. So I bought in some recent stuff. Some of that stuff is already moved that I bought a couple of days ago. They're already sold. That's not going to happen for all of them, but I would rather reinvest, of course, and be a better sourcing person than to just buy things that I think are going to do good and they don't, based off of, hey, well, it's too low overpriced. I can't pass that up. But how long are you going to be keeping it? Did you and Ken take advantage of the $5 under sale at Ross, or did you guys talk about it? We didn't have a lot of that stuff, at least in my area. When we went to California, we saw those bigger sizes. I think we saw one of the examples was like the KD Tray 5s, and they were $4.99, but they were a size 18. KD Tray 5s alone don't sell that good. So now we're also picking up a bigger size, and they're the orange colorway. They're going to sit for a while, just like Ross had them there sitting for a while. So in those cases, we passed, even though the price was really, really good. If your death pile gets too big, do you ever try to sell it in bulk like a swap meet vendor and make the least money? Yes, you can also do this. You'd be surprised too, even with the garage sales, if you put your local ad, even if you're going to say, hey, let's say a lot of these cleats, they were $19.99, you're going to get rid of them now, and you're still going to try to sell them for 25 bucks. Someone might see that out there and might maybe want to try to buy all these things from you from bulk, and clear out some of that stuff. So you can also go local, just like Downtown FBA said. Going local is also good for that. I picked up a 7Y today, but afraid to get a small size on Kobe 11s. 7Y typically sells good. 6Y, 7Y. I think once you start getting into 1, 2, 3Y, some 4Ys, it really just depends on the market and also the shoe. So I picked up some foam posits that are super small, but there weren't a lot of sellers on eBay. Plus, they're foam posits. Like, how often are you really going to find those? And when a certain colorway comes out, people are going to look for the older ones too. Like, oh yeah, I remember that one. I never got to get them. Maybe I'll go back and pick them up. Also, of course, the price. Let me see. My biggest concern with selling retail ARB on Amazon is not having a brand's permission to sell the item that is valid, or am I worried for no reason? Well, if you don't have the brand's permission to sell it, then more than likely you're not going to have the permission to sell it, period. So let's say if I wanted to sell Nike shoes on Amazon FBA, I don't have the permission, then it's going to show up restricted for me. But if it's not restricted for you and they're allowing you to sell it, then I would go all in, and you can sell those items if you have the right inventory and the right locations or whoever you work with to get these items, like you were saying, wholesale. Then you can do that already, and then you can send it in with no problem. But if there's no restrictions and you're fine, then I wouldn't necessarily worry about it. I would go and sell. Have you found the Project Duffel? Found 3 already. Yes, I have found it, and I was listing it right before I went live. Let me see. I thought you were doing out hustled every day. I know I took the poll and it was mixed results, and some people were like, now that you're doing everyday content, it's kind of like they like that mixture. So maybe for the future ones I will, but out hustled, the next one will be out on Tuesday. Um for the I think there's gonna be 5 episodes to this one. I still have 3 more to edit. Let me see. Can't wait till summer. Have a horde of shorts. Yeah, the shorts will do good. Trunks, all of that stuff do good for the summer. So keep those intact. Let me see. If I sell, let's see, if an item is defect dirty, you're going to ask for a discount. Usually get 10%. Yeah. And not all the stores are going to give you the 10%. That's the thing, kind of sucks too. So you have to really figure out if it's worth it or not. Do I want to keep it? Do I want to buy it to try to resell, even though it has this stain on it? Let me see. Oh, Jeffrey, I just answered your question on that one. I think that was yours. I'm trying to go through it, but I'm trying to go back. Yeah, that was on the defect one, so I answered that one. But if you have any other questions, let me know. Do you still work for your family business? You're all over the place. Yeah, I go there in the mornings. I help out doing that. I'm mostly helping them out with like their online sales and eBay, Etsy, all of that kind of stuff. So I helped them out in the mornings. The rest of it is with YouTube, merch, and eBay. Let me see. It's 80 degrees in California. Looking for dresses now. I know everything's heating up, so I think we're gonna see a lot of the new inventory also change out. Get a lot of the summer stuff starting to come back. So yeah, I think we're almost done to our hour. But let me know any last questions. I went through our spots to find inventory. Probably it took me maybe what 25-30 minutes straight. So we covered all of that. But let me know. And Monday, same thing. Merch Minds podcast. I'll have that. Tuesday, out hustled. Wednesday, we'll have a live show, and then Thursday, no edit Thursday, and then Friday we have Ross finds of the week as normal. And that's pretty much it. So let me know any last questions before I go. But I do appreciate everybody that stayed steady in the chat, that I didn't shout everybody out and answer questions in the beginning. I kind of like the format, though. It allows me to just kind of like stay in my groove and go all out on the info instead of kind of like pausing here and there. So if you like that format, you can let me know also in the comments and everything. Let me see. Have you heard about if you can't return if you take the discount? Yes, a lot of the sales are like, if you take that discount of 10%, then it's like a final sale. And some of them are like that, some of them aren't. TJ Maxx did allow some sales on items that were marked, but for the most part, Ross is like final sale. You see that that there's like stains or whatever on it. Too bad, you take it. Are you still picking up Untouchable 2? Not necessarily. Now, the Untouchable TDs, those did good because of the Flyknit part and also the different colorways. Untouchable 2s, I've been seeing the same kind of colorways coming up. And there's a lot of people that have been emailing me and sending me DMs. Glenn, I don't know what to do with all these cleats now because I went a little too all in, and now I have over 100-something pairs of them. You're going to have to figure that out. Are you going to make the money back? Are you going to try to sell locally? Or are you going to try to wait it out and see what happens if you can make the money on those cleats? At one point, I was like, I'm not going to pick these up anymore. I've sold a good amount, but I know there's a lot of them that are going to be sitting here, especially after trial and error, figuring out the sizes that were doing good and the colorways that were doing good. So that's pretty much it for that Untouchable 2 part. Do you make more profit on items from Ross Burlington and outlets? Yes, because I source more from those stores. And so my the example that we had was the thrifting part of it, which is selling, 10 plus of shirts or jeans, making $8 profit compared to selling cleats that you bought for $49 and they're selling for $130. It's more of a high-end item, and you're doing a lot less work as far as like measurements, taking pictures, and listings compared to a high-end item. You just sell that one, and it's bringing you the same amount of profit compared to the thrifting items of, I don't know, 8 to 10 of those certain items. It says, Ryan, just wait until football season begins. So yeah, you can do that too. And red, blue, and black at Ross Untouchable 2 randomly sold 2 TDs this week. There we go. I have a small mix of cleats, nothing can't hold on to. So yeah, a mixture of the cleats and soccer too. Soccer and the football ones, they're two totally different. They're both going to sell for you. Depends on the model, the price you picked it up for. If you noticed, Burlington, $16.99. Marshalls for the most part, $19.99. But I've seen Ross $17.99, and I've also seen Ross $32.99. There was even a pair of football cleats I saw for $49.99. Ross has been all over the place when it comes to the prices compared to Burlington and Marshalls. They've been pretty consistent at the $16.99 range and the $19.99 range. So there's my input and prices, just a little breakdown on the cleats. So that's it. I think we're done. I really appreciate everybody. I'm going to try to go live every Saturday and really tackling a lot of the newbie type of things that I could be tackling on where do you start. We talked about the sourcing. I have another one of like I want to do about just a lot of comparison type of stuff. So I think it would be really, really cool for the Saturday live video. So appreciate it. We'll see you guys this week. All new, of course, videos and things coming out for Monday through Friday on the channel. So appreciate it, guys. We'll see you. Go out and get it.